I don't care. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm done people pleasing. How do I make sure that I live a life that I'm truly fulfilled in? It's coming down. Oh, my Lord, this broken world is holding me down. I hurt him because everything's going around.
Welcome to Practically Seeking, where we search for answers to life's toughest questions. Rebecca LeMoine had a lucrative career in the pharmaceutical industry and was living the American dream, but something was missing. She made a radical decision to leave everything behind on a quest for peace and fulfillment. She dove deep into the spiritual realm through extended periods of meditation and the use of psychedelic drugs. I started out by asking Rebecca about her career.
I was in pharmaceuticals for 11 years. So I started out in sales. As a sales rep, if you know, pharmaceutical sales reps, wearing the high heels and the skirts and going in and talking to the doctors. And in my early 20s, mid 20s, it was the best job I could possibly imagine having. It was just easy. It was fun. I'm a personable person. I was just bringing coffee and talking to nurses and doctors and driving around. I was on my own schedule and making ridiculous money for someone in her 20s, and I was good at it. So I ended up, being very successful, winning lots of awards, making more and more money, and just, that was I wanted money. And I was like, that's all I was looking at. Anyway, moved up into marketing, left sales, got sick of being the coffee running girl and decided I wanted to learn more about what went on behind the scenes, work my way up to management, I wanted to do more. So I went into the home office and moved into marketing. And then when I kind of got a little bit older, like I said, like after 11 years in the industry, I look back and I'm like, wow. I heard myself talking about what I was doing for a career to my therapist over and over and over, and specific things that I had to do that I was not comfortable with, but it was my job. And I was like, but I need my job. I have to pay the bills, And I kept getting promotions and I kept getting raises, and I just was like, just kept going. I'm just gonna keep doing it. And then, I just cracked. I just got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. It was sucking my soul. And the first phone call I made, I remember, was to my direct manager, who was so good to me. I was a workhorse. I was there early, I stayed late. And he got me everything I deserved. He got me promotions, he got me raises, he fought for me. And when I called him and told him that I was leaving, it was like I had to let down like a dad, like someone who had really been there for me and brought me up. He brought me into marketing. He hired me into marketing, and I stayed with him for years. So that was a hard conversation, but I was really surprised by his reaction. He was happy for me.
As Rebecca told others she was leaving, some expressed the desire to make a radical change too, but didn't see how it was possible. Rebecca, however, was willing to do whatever it took to find freedom.
How do I make sure that I live a life that I'm truly fulfilled in and never get stuck again? I kept saying those words. I felt so stuck, and I never want to be stuck again. I just want to break free and do what I want to do, stop people pleasing and what do I want? And I just kind of wrote it out, and I was like, okay, I want to travel. I want to just do something for a career that I'm passionate about, that I feel like, but I don't have to spend all of my energy in, though. Just make just enough just to make it by, and focus on my healing. Focus on what do I need to work on in myself to be the best version of myself that I can be. And then at the same time, I started to have a spiritual awakening.
Now tell us about the decision to basically choose the life of a nomad, kind of, if you want to count the RV life, and how that transpired.
Yeah, so really the thought was put in my head actually by my ex-husband, because he had always kind of wanted to live that lifestyle. But we talked about doing it when we retired. And initially I was like, I don't know about that. But the more I looked into it, and the more I started following accounts on Instagram, and I started doing my own research and looking into these vans and how cool they are, and what you can do and the lifestyle you can have, I'm like, I want to do it now. I was like, and I kept trying to talk him into doing it sooner and retiring early, and like, who cares about retirement? Just retire now, you know? And I was ready, and he was not. So when I, again, made the decision to leave the marriage and decided, yeah, I don't need to be in New Jersey. I don't need this career. I can leave pharmaceuticals even. Like, whoa. It all happened all at the same time that I was like, I'm going to travel now.
Did you feel like you were disappointing family and friends? I think I've heard you mention that before, and tell me about that.
Yeah, it's, you know, what's funny is it's 2 years later and there's still people that are saying, please come home. Friends of mine, you know, that miss me and are worried about me. And then, of course, my husband, you know, we were still talking. I hadn't decided on divorce. So, you know, it was hard because that was his dream. And he said that to me, like he was really, really, really hurt. So, there's him and his family and, you know, my friends and my family. I was really letting everyone down, but I was like, I'm finally doing what I want. I'm done people pleasing. I'm done sitting here thinking, you know, this person's going to be mad at me and this person's going to be mad at me. Like, I don't care. I just want to, I'm doing what I want to do. And I did it. You know, everyone just thought I was losing my mind, which maybe I was. But I just felt so convicted. I was like, no, I want to do this. Like, I'm going to be fine. I have a plan. I am a planner. I wish I would have brought it. I have a binder this thick that I put together over those months getting ready to travel. I was YouTubing everything, like, you know, how to empty the black tank, how to all the RV things, all the things that, like, you're like afraid to do. I watched hours and hours of YouTube videos. I was planning out all of my stays and knew where I was going to be, and I stuck to it to the day.
Let's talk about the spiritual journey. You tried psychedelic drugs, New Age spirituality. Can you talk about that and tell us that part of the journey?
I didn't believe in anything. I was an atheist. I believed that we were in these bodies and they died and we were buried and that was it. So again, it was November of 2021 when I first accepted that there was a God. Okay, there's something bigger than me. And I would say God, I would say universe, I would say source, you know, our creator. I kind of just interchanged words. Higher power. And then in February, so only like 3 months later, I went to drink ayahuasca, which is a psychedelic. And it is a very, very strong psychedelic. Up to that point, the only psychedelics I had done were mushrooms. And I had done those, you know, several times. It was kind of like one of the recreational things that I would do here and there. And ayahuasca, though, is very, very intense. And you leave your body. You go to the spiritual realm. So this first time that I did it in February of 2022, it was the first time that I had anything show me how the spiritual realm works, what it looks like, what it is. And what I was shown was like there's this big web of energy, if you will, that connects us all. And we are all connected, and we power ourselves with love and with energy. And I saw this big bright light above my head and was shown that like my light, my power, my energy can feed into this bright light, which I believed to be source, God source, like my energy, my love. And if I heal myself and work on myself and focus on myself and become the best version of me, I can help power the whole network of humanity. And it very much tells you that you're connected with the planet, and the planet really becomes, it's a spirit, Mother Earth, and you feel the energy of the planet, and you're very much in a spiritual realm. So now, not only do I believe in God, I'm being shown what God is, I'm being shown my part in the whole picture, and how important I am as an individual, and I'm being shown how important it is to take care of myself and the planet. There is this realm that exists that is real, that is very real, because you can't deny that you have been to this place and that you're being communicated. There's spirits talking to you. Who I was communicating with was Mother Aya, the spirit of Mother Ayahuasca, and she was basically telling me all of these things that I just explained. And you feel like you are being wrapped in a mother's love, and it just feels amazing, like like pure love. And then all these other people that are there with you are having similar experiences, and you're just in this, what I call this bubble of love, in this, and really, you're all doing psychedelics, you're all hallucinating, but what you are hallucinating. However, I believe that the place that you go to is real, and there are real spirits that communicate with you when you're there.
Wow. So you were like hearing the spirit, Mother
Aya, yeah.
Mother Aya.
Mm-hmm.
You were hearing, like, it wasn't during a hallucination, I assume, when you're on the drug.
Yeah.
But you're hearing her say things to you.
Yeah, and I was writing them down. Like, I was writing, which is not common. Most people can't, like, actually write while you're on it because you're so out of it. But I mean, it's messy as anything, but I have a notebook of all the things I was being told, and I was just writing it down and writing it down. And it was a lot.
Are other people communicating with her too, like your friends that were with you, like it's all the same spirit?
So everyone has very different experiences, but the common thing, there's lots of commonalities. Lots of people see snakes, lots of people see jaguars, things like that, like the same animals tend to pop up a lot. And Mother Aya is a very common, not everyone talks to her. It's kind of like, oh, you got to talk to Mother Aya, like, but it is a common spirit that does talk to a lot of people that drink. It's a brew that you drink.
Did you observe, like, well, first of all, you said it's not very common. So in your group, were there others that talked to her like you did?
So yeah, I guess again, it's always a little bit different. Like, some people are just shown visions and they don't get messages. Some people have very light. Mine was all very love and light, and some people have very dark experiences where they like go into their childhood traumas, like stuff that they've been burying for a long time, and things even come up that they didn't even know like happened to them in their childhood. And some people who, like, example, have like PTSD might have like really dark experiences because they go back to those dark places.
Did you hear anybody else's message, or probably no one else is writing, it sounds like, except you, but from what they could recall, did the messages like correlate? Or
the grid, the fact that we're all connected is a common message. I wouldn't say every single person, but it's very common that we're all connected, and love is pretty much, I would say 90% of people that go and drink ayahuasca feel love. And maybe for the first time in their lives, they're feeling loved. And it really is beautiful. And yeah, that's probably the biggest common thing, is that we're all connected. The earth, the connection to the earth is very prominent, and the feeling of pure love.
Were there other psychedelics that you tried?
Let me think.
Mushrooms.
So I have tried DMT, but it wasn't, like, I would say I didn't take off, as they say. So really just mushrooms and ayahuasca. And I drank ayahuasca 9 times, but it was 3 different retreats. At each retreat, you drink 3 times.
You did other things to try to discover this path you're on to higher consciousness. I think you're raising your consciousness, you said one time. Tell us about other ways that you tried to do this.
So really, once I drank ayahuasca, I kind of just started diving down this road of, okay, she showed me all this stuff, now what? What do I do with it? And what they tell you is that you should do integration. And what I started joining was these calls called integration calls. And what that means is you're basically taking everything that you were told and everything that you were shown, and instead of just going back to the old way of living, you learn how to integrate those things into your daily life. Like, I was shown that I have to take care of myself and heal myself. How do I do that? So the integration call, there's an all group of people that have drank ayahuasca before, that have experienced what you've experienced and are wanting to better themselves or wanting healing. They want to have a connection. They want to, become more aware. And you start to talk about a lot of consciousness, like I was saying. So the calls started to get in those types of conversations, and they would bring up books to read and music to listen to, and other psychedelics to try. There's something called iboga that a lot of people talk about, and bufo is another one that a lot of people talk about. So when I do something, I dive in. I start reading as many books as I possibly can on these subjects. I started practicing meditation very intently, like every day. I started to do yoga every day. I was doing something called sacred secretion, which is how you can basically raise this. They talk about this kundalini energy that you can raise within your body that raises your level of consciousness. And the goal for me turned into wanting to connect with God, connect with the spiritual realm on a daily basis as much as I could. So without having to go back and drink ayahuasca, I wanted to go to the spiritual realm. I wanted, through meditation, through yoga, through the certain diet I was doing to raise my sacred secretion, through what they call sexual retention. You basically just get to a point where you feel like you can connect with this spiritual realm without even taking anything. However, everyone also takes things along the way. Like a lot of people are monthly, doing DMT or LSD or, because they want to reconnect in a bigger way. Like meditation's great, yoga's great, but I want to go back and be with Mama Aya, or I want to have a really deep experience. I want to dive in to my deep, dark shadow work. They call it shadow work when you're going back into your childhood traumas and trying to figure out what's really deep in there. So to do that deep, deep work, you want to do a psychedelic trip so you can really dig in. But daily, I was doing meditation, reading, yoga. I was doing 5 hours of work every single day because I didn't have a job. So as soon as I quit my job became connecting with God by raising my consciousness.
How would you define God in your life at that time? And was this Mother Aya, would that have been God, or what?
So actually, it's interesting you ask, because on my last ayahuasca journey, it was really put together for me of what I was being shown. So there was God, to me, was the source, was that bright light that was above my head. That was what we were all feeding our energy into. And if we raised our consciousness and became super loving, and by cleansing ourselves and being mindful and taking care of our health, if you do the work, you become a pure being that can beam pure love into source. And what Mother Earth below you becomes is she's feeding everything with love. She brings things to life. She brings the trees to life and birds, and she brings life into you. But when you have the heavy stuff, when you have to work through the hard feelings, like the pain and the suffering, because we have to deal with that, right? What I was shown was you give it back to Mama, and she takes it and she brings it back to life. So if you give it to her by crying and by screaming things out and by working things out and by doing the work, when you feel sad, don't hold it in, cry it out, talk to someone, let it out. You can't hold it in. You give it away so that then it can be transmuted back to love, and you can feed source with your love. And so to me, source was all of our energy being fed into the source so that we can continue to be generated with love.
And source was Mother Aya, or not necessarily?
So to me, there was a father and a mother.
Gotcha.
So source was the father, and the mother was Mother Earth.
Gotcha. And did you feel like during any of that time that you made these connections?
Yeah, I felt like I was, especially in meditation and even through yoga. I was doing yoga every single day, and it started to change. It wasn't just stretching. It wasn't just becoming calm and peaceful. I felt like my energy centering and aligning, if that makes sense, because you're supposed to really picture these chakra points throughout your body, and there's this line of energy that goes up your body, and through the crown of your head, you end up, it's almost like this portal that you feel opening, and then you're supposed to focus on your third eye opening, which is here in your forehead, and you end up feeling like you are feeding for me, it was visualizing feeding my energy through my head into the source. And I would do that through meditation and yoga. It would get in certain yoga poses, or like, just be in a place where my body was flowing. It was like moving meditation. Yoga became for me.
Oh, I remember at one point hearing that the 5 hours a day is a big commitment, obviously, but
Yeah.
you went into like a complete seclusion meditation period.
Yes.
How long was that? And tell me about that.
So it was 10 days of complete silence. And so they take your phone, there's no books, there's no journals, and you are in an intense course of meditation. It was a Vipassana meditation course. And I honestly went into it just wanting the silence. I wanted to just quiet my mind. And I actually looked at my journal recently of what my intention was going in. And I wanted to communicate with spirit. I wanted to communicate with God. I wanted to have that open portal where I could hear spirit without having to take ayahuasca. Like through meditation, I wanted to communicate with the spiritual realm. And it was 10 days and it was very, very intense. I didn't expect how hard it was going to be. And again, when I do something, I do it with my whole heart. So I refused to move. It was 10 hours a day of meditation, broken up by breaks, but you're doing like 2 hours and then 1 hour and then 1 hour. And I sat, there was pain, literal physical pain in my back and my legs. But the point is to sit through that and realize that it's not going to hurt you, it's not going to kill you, it's not permanent. The whole idea of impermanence, it was a Buddhist meditation.
Yeah.
So all of the Buddhist teachings of like nothing is permanent, and it's suffering is you'll get through the suffering, and it's all the same, suffering and love. It's your reaction to it that makes it anything different. It's the same. And you get to this place of pure, when you really sit through it, and it's hard to imagine, but when you really sit through it, you get to this place of pure stillness where you are an empty vessel. And it's just whatever, you just wait for whatever to come in.
Did you get to that point?
I got to a point where I felt full vibration, my whole body. All I felt was the vibration of my body, and I felt that love that I felt when I was on ayahuasca without ayahuasca. So I did, yes.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever met or talked to anybody that has tried all of this to the extent and with the commitment level that you have.
Yeah.
It seems like you did everything.
I was doing it. I was on the path.
Yeah.
During this retreat, night 7 or 8, so pretty deep into the retreat, and I had already achieved that moment of pure love where I reached that pure state of vibration and I felt the love all over my body. I was woken up out of the middle of my sleep with this intense feeling in my chest, like a boom feeling coming out of my chest. And it was just like that love feeling, but it was bursting out. Like I was like, whoa, what is this? And then like I kind of like was sitting there and I had this closed eye vision of a gold cross, bold gold cross. And I was just like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? And I, at that time, raising my consciousness and trying to connect with the spiritual realm, a lot of things they talk about is becoming Christ-like and raising your consciousness to getting Christ consciousness, achieving Christ consciousness was kind of like the goal. And what they would say is that is something that Jesus did. Jesus achieved Christ consciousness, but also Buddha did. Buddha achieved Christ consciousness, and Krishna achieved Christ consciousness, and all these other ascended masters. So we could do it if you dedicate your life to this purpose, and that's really the goal of all goals. Did I ever believe I was going to achieve Christ consciousness? Probably not, but I believed I was going to get as close as I possibly could. I was going to make it my life mission, and this cross gave me the feeling of like, I'm getting there. Like I'm getting this visual picture of I'm getting there. And I just had that beautiful like feeling. So I'm doing the things and I felt really good. Now, the next night, I had a very vivid dream. So this is not during meditation. This is in the middle of the night. I had a very vivid dream. And I don't typically have vivid dreams. I typically, forget my dreams. I really rarely remember them. And this one was so real, so real. So I was in the dream, I was driving, and I was on a big 4-lane highway where, there's lots of cars. And I heard a voice tell me, get out of your car and stop traffic. And I knew it was God. Like I just knew right away. I'm like, oh, God's telling me to stop traffic. So I didn't even question it. I just started to slow down, get out, and I stopped my car in the middle of the highway, and I just opened my door and got out, and I just put my arms out wide, and I just was like praying that the cars would stop, like, do you see me? Stop. And the cars started to stop. And again, this is a dream. I know it sounds real because it felt real, but the cars just started to stop across the whole 4 lanes. And I'm sitting there just like, okay, all right, I did it. And like waiting to see, okay, what now, And there was no what now. There was just a big traffic jam that I caused. And the cops show up and they're like, what are you doing? Like, get out of the road. And I was like, God told me to stop traffic. And they're like, what? Like, you're crazy. So they take me down to the station, and like, the cars start whizzing by again. And now I go to the police station, and they get on the phone. So part of this, I actually forgot a chunk of the dream, which really made me mad. And I knew that I had saved a woman's life by stopping traffic, but I can't remember the series of events that led to that. But I remember being at the station, and the cops got on the phone with a 911 dispatcher. And this guy, the 911 dispatcher, had taken a bunch of calls from this traffic jam. And that's why they got on the phone with him to tell him why and what was going on for whatever reason. And they said to him that this woman heard from God. God told her to stop traffic. And they said it, in a condescending way, like this crazy lady, God told her to stop traffic. And the 911 dispatcher says, whoa, wait a minute. She's telling you the truth. I heard from God too. And he told me to tell her and everyone. It's coming down. Oh,
my Lord, that's part 1 of my conversation with Rebecca. You won't want to miss the end of her story. She made a surprising discovery. Please join us for the second half of the interview in the link here or in the description.
What if this message I got in this dream was God talking to me?
Oh my Lord, this broken world is holding me down. I hurt him because everything that's going around is coming around. Oh.